There's so many submissions that we turn people away. So it works best for us to have people who are ready earlier get their panels in. And then if we need more as we get towards that deadline, we can always extend it. As it happened this year, we had more than enough at that earlier deadline. So while I can understand your situation, we're probably not going to be able to make the change to extend that deadline because it saved us a lot of trouble on the wall. Thanks for the suggestion, but hopefully you guys can get things together a little bit earlier. Maybe we'll be able to extend depending on circumstances.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Next.
You're absolutely right. That is completely unacceptable. If something like that ever happens to you, I absolutely want you to request to speak to their supervisor, someone that's a vulture. And if it's a vulture, I want you to ask them to speak to the head of public safety. We don't tolerate that kind of behavior from our staffers. We do occasionally, when we have a big group, still hear us raising our voices to be heard, but to be yelled at or going to the bathroom is quite ridiculous. So I apologize for that too. If you have time after the session is over, I would love to speak with you about that. Maybe figure out who it was so we can address it. Thank you. So if, just as an addendum to that, if anyone else has a problem with that, we do have an email address. It's anconsafety@gmail.com. That'll go directly to me and to my second lesson. All right?
Hi, I'm Eric. I've been running Robert and recording roles for the last 3 years for you guys. We've been on the schedule. Love that about being on the schedule. It makes it great. A few things. First, we love being on the schedule, but could you guys put us in the right spot, please? Just 1 year in the right spot.
Where's the right spot?
You guys have been changing us around every year. Originally, we were in the boardrooms upstairs in Level 3 1 year, and then we got together there because we weren't on the schedule then. And this year, we were near the ballroom, and this is my voice I'm doing. Near the ballroom, and we were to meet from there, and I actually just was fed up with it and told the person who was over there, no, I'm here. I have an email saying I was here. And if need be, I will get someone above you. And I did, actually. But if we could just please be on the right spot, it'd be wonderful. Also, we love that you gave us the giant interval ballroom, but we need, if possible, to like some more room. I know you guys are expanding, and if you guys could give that a little bit of room, that'd be awesome. We are up to about 120 players a night now. So it's getting really cramped.
We do know that you're getting much more popular, and as we stated earlier, to someone wanted us to the panel, we need to get you guys in the right room. And as you heard, a lot of people say the issue, like a lot of people say, we have an issue with space. We need to expand, get bigger rooms where you bigger than some of the other spaces. Larger spaces are getting full over, going to expand next year into other areas, other hotel ballrooms and such. So we should have the ability to do a larger room.
Not necessarily larger, but more booths. There's 2 games and everything on the larger room is
Again, that should be less of a problem, but again, I know you have a program to go at Holiday Inn, and we also find somebody at Doubletree. And we'll talk to the department head about what they feel the right size room is for separate games, and we'll see what we can accommodate. We always do the best we can accommodate, but it's difficult. Which is why you get shift year to year to year to see where it works best.
Thank you very much, and we'll be back there next year.
And we will enjoy it. I'm sure the attendees enjoy it quite a bit.
Hi, a couple things. First, would it be possible to invest in either rope barricades and or tape on the floor for line management to stay behind? Because especially the Doubletree ballrooms, that area, it was a madhouse yesterday. Having to go outside was insane. One line that a few of us here were in yesterday for one panel, just a mob scene outside. So, would it be possible to have things to stay behind?
Well, we have 2 problems with that. The first is we're not allowed to put tape on the floor because we don't own it, and then those tapes ruin the carpet. And when we put up stanchions like that, it changes the capacity of our areas. So if I were to put up a whole bunch of barriers between you and the door, you can no longer put a line in that space. So we do the best that we can with the staff that we have and the facilities that we're given. So I mean, and the Doubletree is very tight. It's the worst spot because we're not allowed to take things off, which is a major problem.
And one suggestion, could you change the photo policy in the artist alley to be at the artist's discretion and with permission? Because a lot of artists don't really care. Some of them might, some of them might not. And if you see an awesome cosplayer, you shouldn't feel bad if you ask a cosplayer to pose for a picture in the artist alley.
No, you're right. You shouldn't feel bad if you ask the cosplayer to take a picture. However, the number of artists who are upset with photography going on in the artist alley outweighs those who don't.
Like you said, with artist discretion.
We have to make a rule one way or the other. It's not something that we're going to allow to become artist discretion. We have.
Sometimes do.
We're not going to.
It's a problem of enforcement. When you don't want stuff taken at your table and the person next to you wants things taken at theirs and doesn't care, you're going to complain every time that camera comes out. And there's no way that I can station people at every table to enforce that rule. And that artist shouldn't be responsible for enforcing the photography rule on her own space while she's trying to sell things and work on her stuff. It becomes too cumbersome to make sure that everybody there is pleased. And it's easier to say to the majority, you don't want pictures, it's reasonable, you don't want people to steal your intellectual property, and we'll just have to enforce it and ask people to take their cosplay pictures somewhere else.
I've never seen people busted, that's why.
Well, that's another story. I mean, but we put a rule together and we try to enforce it as much as we can. And that's just the way we have to be.
Hey guys, this is my second time coming to AnimeNext, and I just want to say that, it's been really great. I love coming here every year. This is probably one of my favorite conventions. I don't really have any questions. If anything, I actually kind of have a little bit of a compliment.
so is Uncle Yo. Okay, I understand what you're saying. To have actual conversation with people with counters going down the line and letting people know when to cut off. In theory, that's an excellent idea, and I'd love to do it. In practice, we always run a little short staff. It's not your fault, and we do try to make up the best way we can. We use volunteers as much as possible, free up regular staff. Putting up barricades outside, again, falls under the fire marshal. And it's something that we have to talk to him about to find out what he does.
This would have been my fourth or maybe fifth year being an artist at AnimeNext, and a friend and I usually get a table together, and we were very disappointed when the Artist Alley sold out in like under 2 minutes, and we're starting to think that maybe the first come first serve is a dated method for this con because it's such an overwhelming response of people who want to get a table. And what ends up happening is, I mean, everyone equally deserves a table, but does the con really want 5 tables selling the exact same kind of thing, or the exact same kind of, it's hard to say. Everyone deserves a table because everyone's art is, they work hard on it, and they deserve the attention, and they deserve the sales and everything, but, I think maybe a mixture of like a first come, first serve and a lottery-based registration, if that were at all possible. I just think that the first come, first serve has become dated given the amount of people who want a table every year. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I just want to, from my understanding, our Artist Alley tables were not actually first come, first served. What ended up happening was they opened up registration for, I think it was 2 hours, and then they chose for what was in that slot. I'd have to speak to the head of Artist Alley just to verify that, but I don't think they did it in strict order. And I do know that some thought goes into making sure that they don't sell the same kind of thing at every table, but you do end up seeing that a lot. There's already been a lot of talk for not just Artist Alley, but Dealers Room for 2014 to try to improve the way we select our dealers and artists. But in the end, we have to try to be fair to everybody. We have heard people complaining that the time that you can sign up is too short. Our rule is going to be that the people who are interested in vending at our convention are going to need to keep their eyes open for when we do open up registration for these tables. And I wish anybody who is going to exhibit this year luck in presenting and getting a table. And the con chair is taking a phone call. Let me pass it off to Mixer's chair.
Actually, as far as the Artist Alley and the we're probably a little bit undersized on our side, and that's related to the space problem. We should probably be maybe 25 to 50 more on our salad tables, probably about 50 to 70 more dealers tables. So, you know, we're going to have to think about what we can do about the artist alley problem specifically, but on the dealer's room side, we also have a huge waiting list of that. It's around 40, 50 dealers, so we have a problem on both sides. Some of the expansion next year would help, but I don't know if we'll help that much with artist alley and dealers, because I think they're still going to be here. And as long as we have artist alley, dealers, and main events here, we don't really have much room to change one or the other without affecting the size of everything.
But one problem would be, like I've said, we are limited in space inside here. We don't want to make the events smaller. We want to expand both the dealers room and the artist alley. But if the only way to do that was to put artist alley to another building, to the Holiday Inn or the DoubleTree, and we wouldn't get the traffic coming through to main events, and if we move dealers to another place away from main events, I think they'd be upset with the way sales are. Because this is a central hub of the convention. So to move it so away from it, we're back, so we try to keep it together so we can expand to a point where we can get more tables.
I want to take an opportunity to ask you a question as an artist who didn't make it into our artist alley. We assume that artists would never go for the idea. But if you were offered covered outdoor space as someone who didn't make it into the indoor artist alley, would you take it?
Probably.
So, despite concerns about weather, I mean, you would sit in a tent in the parking lot, a large tent, with your table out there, you'd pay for it, and you'd be happy you got it. Yes? Yes? Show of hands? Yes? All right, well, thank you. We'll consider it.
Thank you. Hi. So the last time I was in this room, Barry's Kobo was on the stage that you're sitting on, and I'd like to thank you all for managing to get them in here. They made my weekend last year, they made my friend's weekend last year, so thank you very much for that, first of all. I usually do a dance panel here with some of my friends, and this year we were put on the waiting list, and that's okay. We received an email that our panel was not accepted, and that's fine too. I understand that there's restraints, but I was wondering who I could speak to about how to make what my panel was missing, and how to increase my chances for getting accepted next year.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. How can I give this? Yeah.
Again, just the same way we get overwhelmed with submissions for artist alley and for dealers tables, the amount of panel submissions, I mean, you guys are great, you guys all want to participate. We have several hundred panels that are on the waiting list. So it may not be a matter of what the content of your panel was, there's just so many to choose from. It makes it very difficult. I have to say, the person who did panels this year, Vincenzo Amarella, did a tremendous job sorting through all of them and trying to keep a well-rounded schedule that will appeal to everyone. So it's very difficult to have as many submissions as we have and be able to choose things that are going to appeal to everyone, and then obviously the panels that submitted that we can get in. It's really not a matter of whether or not your panel would fit or wasn't represented in the right way. It goes back to whether or not we have the amount of space for panels to do it. And you know, it's a tough job to have to choose because you guys are so eager to put on a good panel for attendance. The best thing to do is correct panels at AnimeNext.org. And again, when the submission's open again, they'll only review.
Also, regarding that everybody's trying to get in, this is a terrible question for me to ask, but because there are so many
would not be able to get in. At that convention, their pre-registration quadrupled in size in 1 year. It went from about 20 to 25% to 90% of the cap was hit through pre-registration. The line to get the badges on Friday was about 2 to 2.5 times what was available. The line for Saturday badges, all they could give up for Saturday badges was however many badges, single day badges they gave out on Friday. It would be a nightmare. From my personal experience, it would be a nightmare. I know why you have that, but
And the other thing that happens when you put an attendance cap, pre-reg goes up like that, and those are 3-day passes. And a lot of our crowds are on Saturday because they buy 1-day passes for Saturday. All those people, in an effort to make sure they got to the con, would end up showing up on Friday. You'd have twice as many people here on Friday, and twice as many people staying for Sunday. So it ends up, you think you solve a problem with an attendance cap, but in order to actually get a fewer number of people in here, you have to put that cap far lower than you would think. And that cuts into our sales, it cuts into how much money we have to spend on the convention, and it just, the problems just multiply. It sounds like a solution, but as soon as you see it in practice, it just becomes a new set of problems. And the last thing we ever want to do is turn people away at the door. And just push people in the mentality that the convention becomes elitist. I mean, we already had complaints about first come, first served for the artists out there. We certainly don't want that for our general population.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
I have a comment and a question. My comment was the map and the schedule and the guide are all really confusing, especially that Channel 4 is actually Channel 5 and there was no 4 on the map. Also, like, things kept changing. We might have rushed to this one to go over and this regular channel, and then once we show up, like, out of breath running, we found out it switched to 2 o'clock. So is there any way that, like, when people walk in the door, you can hand out, like, reprinted guides and stuff?
This year, we used the guidebook app. It was available for everyone to download for free, and it was updated in real time, so any of those changes were reflected there. And at each of our info desks, we had an electronic copy of the schedule that had the most up-to-date information. I mean, as I said before, we always have schedule issues. We had the most accurate schedule this year that we have had in 4 years that we've been here. So there are always going to be problems. One of our biggest problems is with guests. Things happen with guests. They're invited to be here, and if something happens, we can't force them to do what we want them to do. They're not our employees, they're our guests. So that's what happens sometimes with Greg Ayers and things like that. Some of it's out of our control. But we did use the guidebook app. Maybe we should have made it more known to everyone. We tried to put it on our website. It was a somewhat last-minute thing, but it got there, and it really is a lot easier to read than our schedule. There's no better way for us to print the schedule. You go to any convention, and they all look exactly the same. Unfortunately, we can't reprint our schedule right before because it takes a couple of weeks for the printer to actually get it, print it out on a nice paper that's not going to fall apart when it gets wet, and ship it out to us. Our schedule needs to be done 4 weeks before our convention, and anything that changes in those 4 weeks, we can't fix. We can't put it on that schedule. We tried 1 year, and we had maybe 20 people folding 10,000 pieces of paper the night before the convention to get a fixed schedule. We just can't do it again. It's impossible. We apologize for the mistakes that are in there. That panel 4 and 5 should have been, panel 5 and 6 should have been 4 and 5. I mean, little things slip through. You'll notice on there that we still have an arena, even though it's only 10 foot by 20 over there. Nothing happens. Some things slip through the cracks, and that's why we want to more on the guidebook app so we can push out those updates on the
My question was also, voice actor like told me through email that if I wanted to get to come to a con, that I would have to talk to like con staff or email them or something. And I looked on the site and all I could really find was like FAQ and stuff, and I wasn't sure really how that helped with the request to have guests come.
Okay, sorry, Bob. I just want to feel this because one of the best ways of getting the guests to come to the convention is to start talk about the guest. Because when we get into planning our guests, which usually starts as early as the late summer, but most of it starts tomorrow. We generally like to look at what's on our website in the forums, and we look at who's posting on Facebook for the guests. But we got a number of some emails that said this guest would be interested in coming, and we can't invite everybody. So what ends up happening is we'll send a list to our guest coordinator, and they'll try to find out who they can invite. And generally speaking, we try to invite local guests because we don't have to pay large amounts of airfare, which is why you'll see more East Coast and New York guests than people from California or Texas. And I know you want to add to that, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as con chair, on a regular basis, I get email bombed by people who want a specific voice actor to come. As Dom said, it is better to talk about it on our forum or Facebook, because when I start to see 30, 40 people email bombing me, I think it's just really one person changing their name for different accounts. And it really fills my inbox. Yes, the forum, bottom line, forum and Facebook.
Hi, this is actually my 5th year coming in a row, so I guess make myself sound old. I've been coming to this for now half a decade, so just to make me sound old. But overall, I enjoyed the convention, and going with what I heard one of the artists mentioned about the technical, when you recommended the tent for outside. I have seen outdoor tents that have 2 floors, if that helps them out, which might be something to look into. I'm not sure how expensive, but it would be something to look into. It was like a 3-story tent.
Okay, that was an interesting suggestion. I don't know that would, I think we would start with trying a tent that would work for outdoors. I do not think that would be a good tent for fire marshal, especially with how popular Artist Alley would be and the crowds in it on the 2nd floor. I do not feel they would be too eager to grant us a permit for that.
I mean, it was something interesting. I thought maybe something would happen. But
I have not seen it, but that's a really good suggestion.
But a question that, in terms of a question I had was, I'm actually going to do an article on AnimeNext, and it is overall very positive about what you mentioned. It's like every year I've enjoyed it. But it was one thing that happened in terms of acquiring like press passes. There was an issue where I had to put together, in order to eventually get a press pass, I need to have like who I would be covering at the convention. But what happened was they stopped giving out press passes the day right after they released the schedule. So
Yeah, I think that's just a matter of timing. I know a lot of the guys pull the schedule those ceremonies, the guests, a lot of them have been announced. And again, the press is also a department where you need to arrange interviews, and a lot of people do submit to cover the press. And if you're familiar with who's coming from the website, or any of the announcements that we've made, even if you don't have those lists scheduled, you should be able to know if you're more eager to see a voice actor, or an animator, or a band, or a designer. You know, so I don't think the press application was submitting who you wanted to interview. You didn't have exactly what you think you were interested in one side of the industry compared to another. You could have submitted that, and I think they would have maybe would address that. And then know in the middle which press wanted to be interviewed and which guests.
Okay, we have time for one more. So who really wants it? Let's go battle it out.
Rock, paper, scissors, yeah.
Hi. First of all, I would just like to thank you because I've organized events before and I know how much hard work and time goes into organizing an event. And mine was very small compared to this size. I just want to thank you because I know you guys have put a ton of time and effort into this.
Thank you very much.
My grievance was not actually the con itself, it was the registration process. This year I know there was, I'm sorry, this year I know there was a transition to a new website, and I know that delayed the paper group registration forms, the printable PDF file, and it delayed it to the point where groups that needed to have the paper forms versus paying solely online could not even apply for the lowest possible group price because the form was not ready in time.
Jim, do you know about this?
That was probably like the biggest issue. I know that it's very difficult when you're dealing with transitions, but I didn't really find that it was very fair to have a group not be able to apply for the price only because they couldn't pay solely through credit.
One of the problems actually is, have you been doing manual registration for a few years?
Last year was my first year doing it.
2 years previous to this, we had a post office class here in New Jersey. Due to Mother Nature and some horrible timing called Sandy, we were able to get to re-up our post office class. And because the problems were we couldn't put the forms up telling people send your forms to this post office box that we don't have anymore. So we had to get another one, probably the one in New York. But it unfortunately that was a problem. That is definitely what we addressed this year. That's just a one-shot mistake.
Thank you so much for your answer.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody that's up on stage with me. I'd like to ask them all to leave except for Eric and Jim and CJ is sound asleep.
Aww.
Okay, so once again, my name is Bob Rustay. I am the con chair this year. I have been since 2010. It has been my privilege and my pleasure. I thank you very much for being as good as you have been. I only have a few gray hairs from you. Now I'd like to pass the baton to Eric Torres.
Thank you very much. As Bob said, he set the bar very high in the past 4 years with the amount of programming, the guests that we get, the bands that we get. I hope you all enjoyed the guests that we had this year and had an opportunity to see the guests that you wanted to. He set the bar high, and I hope to continue that tradition, bring better guests, bigger guests, and expanding so that we're not so tight. Because we do hear your concerns, and we have in the past couple of years. But I think we're going to continue that tradition. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that we have this year. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the guests that you want to. And I hope you all enjoy the gu It is going to require going to other venues that are nearby. We will do our best to provide shuttle buses for the ones that are not walking distance. But they will have larger space for everyone to be more comfortable, for people to not be turned away from events that they want to see. You know, so that's the biggest issue that we have. We put on great programming for you guys, and panelists, and everybody who wants to participate. The one thing that they don't get the chance to do, if they're turned away from a capacity issue. You know, we get lots of people saying that it's disappointing, and we understand that, and we never want to turn anyone away from any of the panels or programming. So my goal next year is to keep the quality of guests up as well as put them into areas that will accommodate all of you. And I will let Jim announce our discounted rate that will be going on the website tonight.
Actually, as of the beginning of this feedback panel, pre-registration for AnimeNext 2014 is open at AnimeNext2014.eventbrite.com. The price for January 1st is $45. However, we have a special discount code that will work for this 1 week only. So as of $159 on Saturday, now until then, you'll be able to get $10 off on every registration with the code WONDER, WONDER. That means for single attendees up to $35, the group rate that lowers the group rate to $30 a person. So we have 1 week for that, and we hope to see all of you again 1 year back here again at AnimeNext 2014. Thank you.